And it is senior photo season. And that means that, first of all, I get to photograph a bunch of kids that look like models. I don't know, is it TikTok that teaches all these kids how to do their hair and makeup perfectly? Because I did not know how to do my hair and makeup like this when I was a senior in high school. So I get to photograph all these models. And also, I get to brush up on my Photoshop retouching. I think there are like three different levels that you can approach Photoshop from. It's like the first level is as a makeup artist, right? Like treating Photoshop like makeup. The second level would be treating Photoshop like you're a dermatologist. And then the last one would be treating Photoshop like you're a plastic surgeon. Obviously, this girl is gorgeous and needs very minimal Photoshop. And in general, I try to, use the lowest level of Photoshop necessary. But again, my approach is to make somebody look more like they did when I saw them, which means sometimes erasing little imperfections that would distract you from their actual appearance when you're looking at a still photograph. And I'm not sure if that makes a ton of sense, but I'll try to explain it more as we get going here. So, we can zoom in here and see that she is beautiful. Obviously, you can see that zoomed out too, but there's just a little bit of texture in her skin here that, again, might distract from her overall gorgeous face, because I honestly did not notice any texture or any bumps in her skin when she was in front of me, because she was talking to me, right, and she was moving, and I was much more focused on these gorgeous green eyes and her lovely personality. But when you see a still photograph, sometimes those little imperfections jump out more, right? Especially when we're using really great gear like we have, where everything's in super sharp focus. So again, I'm approaching this like a makeup artist and or dermatologist, and just kind of removing those little spots that might distract the normal viewer from her overwhelming beauty. So what I'm going to start with is a duplicate layer by pressing Command J, and we'll just come in here, and again, I don't want to erase the texture of her skin. I like pores. I think they're relatively important to have as a human. And I'm not a fan of that plasticky look. But all I'm doing here is this allows me to circle the area that might be distracting and just drag it to a place that I think is clear. And then you can see when I deselect it, now the distraction is gone. Again, I'm not about erasing her actual skin. It's more about kind of revealing what she actually looked like in real life. But this little patch tool, which is this guy right here, is my favorite tool to use when retouching skin, just because it gives me a lot of control. You'll hear some people who like to use the clone stamp tool or the spot healing brush. All of those are great. It's kind of a personal preference thing. Sometimes you will find that one tool works better for one application than another. Sometimes you will find that you need to use all of them in combination. That is great. Whatever works for you. Okay, so this is what I call the dermatologist level of Photoshop. We're just, like a dermatologist would want to if they're giving you a facial. They'd kind of pop all these little bumps. Does that sound gross? I'm so sorry. Or an esthetician maybe. But they're just getting rid of the stuff that would distract from the beauty of this girl. Okay, so let's look at that. And you can see, if I zoom in here and press off and on, I've really not done a lot to change her face. I mean, I think it just looks like, she went to go get a facial. And that's exactly what you want, right? You don't want somebody to look like a different human. You want them to look like the best version of themselves. So the next step we're going to do is kind of the makeup artist level of Photoshop. And I'm still going to use that patch tool, but we're going to go ahead and merge those and create a new duplicate layer. And the patch tool, all I'm going to do is I'm going to treat it like it's concealer. So we're just going to, this shadowy area under her eye. Now she is far too young to really have dark shadows, but check out what this does. We'll just demonstrate. So I'm just going to drag this up to a lighter area. Foreheads are always a really great area to pull from this. Now, if I left it like that, this would look wonky. Don't do that. You're gonna come over here to edit, fade patch selection, and bring it to like between 35 and 45%. I'm gonna do 35 because she needs minimal help here. Now, watch when I click off and on. Ta-da! It just looks like she got a nice bit of concealer there, right? Because it's just at a 35% opacity, and it just lightens that up a bit. So we're gonna do this on the other eye. Just like that. And see how this same tool can be used for a very different application? It's the joy of Photoshop. And now you can see both eyes. Isn't that amazing? I love Photoshop for stuff like this. There we go. So, I mean, I would probably leave her skin just like that. I mean, it just looks just a little bit more polished. Now I can kind of go in and do the rest of my typical editing routine, right? Like I can, you know, make sure color's perfect and bump up my highlights and bring down my shadows and whatever else I need to do. But I've got a really good foundation for her skin. So that is my approach to Photoshop skin editing and retouching, right? It's just act like you're an esthetician or dermatologist and a makeup artist. You know, if you really need to, go in at that plastic surgeon level. If you need to open eyes or do that stuff, I'm not going to tell you what to do. But again, I think in general, the gentler you can be with your Photoshop, the better. And this patch tool is a really gentle way to make people look their best. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. See you soon, Click community.